Good morning, everybody. For this week's module, we are going to be talking about the case study that you will be required to complete this semester for the writing intensive portion of the course. So I just wanted to give you an introduction and get you started. So in Chapter 9, you talked about issues facing educators. So you will have the opportunity to choose one of the cases on this list. Case 2, can't we get him to a special class? Case 3, losing control. Case 5, assessing. Case 8, conversations with a colleague. Case 9, ESL story. Or case 10, teacher burnout. So you'll have the opportunity to choose a case study to tackle for the semester. So over the next slides, we're going to go over how to successfully complete Component 1. So the parts of Component 1 are A, creating a title page, B, identifying the central problems and facts, C, develop questions that will help you solve your case study, and D, questions which should be relevant to solving your problem. I will also give you a sample so that way you know what to expect. So for Component 1, the title page, and then number 2, create a problem page and facts page. Although there are multiple problems in your case, you are going to do your best to pull out the central problem. Then pull out the facts that are relevant to solving the problem. Then based on your problem and facts, you are going to create a questions page. So your questions should be relevant to providing a solution to the problem in the case. The questions can address issues not explicitly delineated in the case. And then you're going to create a topics page. So the topic should be based on the questions and point to areas for further research. You are going to be tasked with finding research articles that address the topic. So you've just read in the previous part or task a full case study. This is just a snippet of that case study because I want to work with this one as a sample for you. So Miguel is from the South Bronx, a community once described by a potential candidate as a hellhole, and yet by another as the poorest census tract in the United States. Despite these negative characterizations of his community, for Miguel, the South Bronx is home. The litter on the streets, the deteriorated and dilapidated buildings, or the long walk he must take to the subway to get to and from school doesn't bother him either. For Miguel, the South Bronx is where his abuelita, his familia, his many primos all live, as does his novia, Sonia, and Wilson, his best friend. In fact, Miguel has a sense of pride about being from the Bronx, and he'll be the first to tell you that it is the home of Jennifer Lopez, the world-famous New York Yankees, and a long list of notable Latinos. He and his family regard the South Bronx as a temporary stop on their journey to progress, a place that served its purpose when they first moved in, but not a place to become attached to. His family didn't pick the South Bronx out of a catalog when they arrived from the Dominican Republic. They moved there because housing was cheap and his mother's cousins was able to help them find a place to live, not far from her. They are well aware of the problems in the neighborhood, so for them, the greatest sign of upward mobility would be to leave the South Bronx for good. Again, this is just a small portion of that case study. So let's look at what the problem is. It's likely you're going to have to write and rewrite this problem several times before feeling it correctly encompasses the case. That's okay to do. That's part of the writing process, actually. After you write your facts, it's possible you'll go back and tweak the problem yet again, and that's also fine. So the problem in the sample case, and I want it worded this way because it identifies a problem central to Miguel. Despite his intelligence, Miguel's language barrier is making it difficult for him to pass a required high school exit exam. He's contemplating dropping out of school to work full time. So that is the problem. That's the central problem. Okay, so the next slide we're going to plot some facts that are relevant to the problem. So the relevant facts. After identifying the problem, you should list the facts from the case that are relevant to solving the problem. List only the facts that play a role in what you have identified as a problem. Again, you will have a sample which will be provided for your assistance. Keep it in mind that this sample involves a high school student with a different set of problems, and it's only meant to be a sample. So the question page should be relevant to solving the problem. So remember, the problem for the sample case is, despite his intelligence, Miguel's language barrier is making it difficult for him to pass the required high school exit exam. He's contemplating dropping out of school to work full time. So let's look at some questions. Could English tutoring improve Miguel's language issues in time to pass the state exam? What are the components of the state English exam? Can Miguel attend college without passing that state exam? What predominant factors, financial, cultural, academic, language, are influencing Miguel's apparent decision to drop out of school? Does Miguel's mother have an opinion on his decision to possibly drop out of school? As an undocumented immigrant, would Miguel be able to go to college even if he did pass that state exam? And then let's look at a different viewpoint. What's the school's role in providing English tutoring and test preparation? So you can see how all these questions are relevant to the main problem. Now let's identify relevant topics for further research. Remember that these should be based on your questions, and so you'll be able to have some further research ideas. You will be then tasked to finding 2 research articles for further analysis. So based on our questions, we can say, well, we can study or research the success of failure for English for speakers of other languages. Now, you will see this is labeled ESOL. Every state identifies it differently. You might say ELL for English language learners, or you may say CESL, English as a second language. Another topic would be standardized testing and graduation rates, college possibilities for undocumented immigrants, why academically capable students drop out, perceptions of education by first-generation Latino immigrant families, the culture of high schools that have instituted test preparatory curricula, the availability of positive choices for high school youth in poverty. So these are all ideas for research. As you begin your research, you may kind of veer off a little bit, but as long as it goes to the relevant problem, you're going to be okay. So let's identify some of the facts. We know that Miguel lives in the South Bronx, an impoverished community he calls home along with his family and close friends. Again, you read the entire case study, so I'm just going to pull out some facts from the entirety. Miguel's mother is a single parent raising 6 children. When Miguel first arrived to the United States, he was 11 and spoke only Spanish. Because of this, he was bullied and teased at school, leaving him afraid and intimidated. Now, as a high school student, he speaks limited English and he's no longer afraid. Miguel is still optimistic about his future in spite of the obstacles he has had to overcome. Despite a poor environment at his school, Miguel is a dedicated student. He works at a fast food restaurant to help support his family. He works for 30 hours each school week and some nights until 10 and full days on weekends. Miguel is well liked by his teachers. School adults describe him as a positive example for others. Likely, due to his language barrier, Miguel has twice failed to pass the English portion of the end-of-year exam. If he does not pass, he will be unable to attend public college. Miguel is an undocumented immigrant. Whether undocumented immigrants are able to receive financial aid for college is unclear. There is an option to work to pass the end-of-year exam at night school, but this would conflict with Miguel's work schedule. So instead of college, Miguel plans to continue working at the fast food restaurant, where he may one day be recommended for a more profitable assistant manager position. So that's a snippet of component. That's what you'll be doing for component 1. Again, you will have a sample. Now you will have the opportunity to choose a case study, form groups of 2, 3, or 4 with your classmates, and it will help to work with at least one partner. Then you will share your cases and your group name with me, and you will see that in the next instructional video. I hope this helps you. I do want to state that when you are in the professional community, when you're working in small groups, we call them PLCs, Professional Learning Communities. So for this task, you are working in a PLC. Okay, I hope this helps.